have the authorization of Mr. and Mrs. Donald Pick to read out the following testimony. We are Mr. and Mrs. Donald Pick, both Americans. My wife and I contracted COVID the same time. After about a week of symptoms, we arranged to have a COVID test done on August 23rd. On August 26th, we received a call from the clinic confirming that we both had tested positive for COVID-19. Sally's condition was starting to deteriorate, and I called her family doctor and asked him to see her that day, which he refused. We were both sleeping a lot, Sally more than myself. Later on that same evening, I noticed her condition was getting worse and tried to get her dressed to take her to the emergency room. Unfortunately, she was already beyond the ability to walk, and I called for an ambulance to take her to the hospital emergency room at about 10:30. At around 2 a.m., I received a call from the doctor in the ICU telling me that Sally had had a heart attack and a massive stroke, and that she was less than 5% chance of surviving, and suggested that I allow them to pull the plug on her and let her die with dignity. I told the doctor that that was not a decision for them to make or the hospital. As a matter of fact, it was not even a decision for me to make, and that this decision was for God to make, as it was a doctor's duty to do everything to keep her alive. 2 days later, I got a similar call from the same doctor, again asking me to allow them to pull the plug on Sally and let her pass peacefully. They said that she had completely shut down and was totally unresponsive and on full life support, and her liver was failing and she had pneumonia. Again, I told them that it was God's decision, not mine. The doctor also stated that Sally's kidney would never come back in line if she survived. She would be unresponsive and in vegetable stage for the rest of her life, and in some care facility several 100 miles from where we live. Almost immediately, I called out for intense prayers from our church, and most persons that I knew were Christians. As the case got worse, a good friend of mine from Nigeria called and said he had contacted Apostle Ausbeth Ajagu of Pentium Ministry, who we understood is being greatly used by God to heal several people across the world, and wanted me to pray for Sally recovery. Apostle Ajagu requested that we give him alone 3 days to seek the face of God. The next day after his prayer, we noticed that Sally's hand started to move, and gradually her lungs and kidney were functioning. Surprisingly, after 5 days of steady movement, I arrived at the hospital, and behold, she opened her eyes, and although she could not talk due to the tract in her throat, she muttered the words, "I love you," to me. Not confident of my ability to read lips, I asked her if she had just said what she said, and she confirmed it by nodding her head yes 5 times. I am convinced that the intense prayer provided by Apostle Ausbeth Ajagu has made a difference in Sally's recovery. Also, his prophecy that God gave him that Sally would not only survive but will fully recover has been a great source of peace for myself. I know that God does miracles, and I've seen them happen myself in person, and God has given me faith to trust in him, and like Apostle Ausbeth Ajagu that are doing God's work, we have seen several miracles since Sally's recovery over the last few weeks. God bless Apostle Ausbeth Ajagu for allowing himself to be used by God to restore my wife's health. Thank you.